everyone. This is D. Chiranjeevi, Assistant Professor, Department of Information Technology, Aditya University. Today I am going to discuss functions in programming for problem solving using C. The learning outcome of this lecture is student will be able to understand the concept of functions. So in this lecture I will discuss what is function, and then I will discuss what is parameter or argument, and then I will discuss how to declare a function, how to define a function, and how to call a function. These are the topics I will cover in this lecture. Now let's understand what is function. So function is a group of statements that together perform a specific task. It's called as function. So generally in C programming, if you want to divide a large program into small building blocks, we will use functions. Okay. So in every C program, at least one function must be written, that is main function. So this is the heart of the function, we can say. From main function only program execution starts. By using function, we can divide our code into different functions, that we can say separate functions. When we will be having a large program, then you can divide the code into different functions. So now let's understand these functions with an example. So you can also say functions are also known as group of sub-functions. Now why I am saying functions are also known as group of sub-functions? Let's say if you take Aditya University as a function, now simply Aditya University single block cannot perform all the operations. So this Aditya University was divided into sub-functions like admission, then academics, and then transport, then hostel, right? Similarly, etc. Okay. So now these all are connected. These are the sub functions. Okay. Now if the sub functions are performing the task, it means the function is doing its operation. Okay. So this is how you can understand a function. Okay. Simply the sub functions also, if they perform their task, then automatically if you join them, the function's job is done or completed, we can say. So this is a simple example you can understand. Generally, the function consists of three aspects. The first aspect is function declaration, and the second aspect is function definition. This function declaration is not compulsory, but function definition and function calling is compulsory. Okay. So this function definition is also known as signature, or you can also call it as prototype. And then the last one is function calling. Okay. So these are the aspects which every function contains. Generally, a function may avoid function declaration, but definition and function calling, these are the compulsory aspects of function. So every function must contain these things. Okay. Now let's understand a term parameter or argument. So parameter means you can say information which a variable contains. Okay. Same argument is also like parameter only, that is also information which a variable contains. Okay. So simply you can say parameter or argument means values. Okay. So argument also value, parameter is also a value, okay, which we are passing to the function. So these parameters or argument generally passed inside the parenthesis of the function. So after writing function declaration or function definition, generally we pass these parameters or arguments. Okay. So when you pass multiple parameters or arguments, by simply you will write them by separating comma. So let's say I am writing a function int add. Now if I want to pass two values to perform the operation, then I will write a comma b. Okay. Here a and b are the argument or parameters, we will say. Okay. So now this is a function definition. So I am not writing any semicolon. So this is the body of the function. So here a and b are the parameters. A comma b are parameters or arguments. Now let's understand the first aspect of the function, that is function declaration. Now what this function declaration contains? Okay. So generally this function declaration we declare globally in the program. Okay. It tells the compiler what is the function name and how many parameters we have passed, and at the same time it also tells whether the function is return type or not. Okay. Now let's understand within syntax. So first you need to specify the return type, and then you need to specify the function name, and then you need to specify the parameter list. Okay. So here return type you can take as that basic data types like integer, float, char, double. Okay. And then function name and then parameters. Okay. So now this is simple function declaration. So here you need to specify first return type. So I am writing int, then function name. So it is missing. So I am adding this int here. Okay. So int is the return type, and then add is the function name, and int are these are the three integer values which I am passing. So these are the data types of those arguments, we can say. Okay. So those three values must be of integer only, because we have passed their data type as int. Okay. But here int is return type. It means the function is of type integer. Now, yeah, return types are simply you can pass these basic data types, and no return type if you take, then you need to pass void. Okay, function won't return any value in that case. So this is how. Now whenever you are making declaration, you need to use semicolon after the syntax. Example is written here, so I am writing once more. So int is the return type, add is the function name, and I am passing three parameters, int comma int. Okay, so this is the simple function declaration. This is how you can do. Now the next one is function definition. So generally this function definition contains which operation we will perform in the function. Okay, now this definition will execute only when we call the function. Okay, then only this function definition will execute. Okay, now let's understand this with the syntax. So syntax is, first you need to specify same return type, then function name, then parameter list, then we will be having body. So this is the body where operation will be performed, the task will be done, operation performed. Okay, let's understand with an example. So I am writing return type as int. Already I am written that function name as add in declaration already. So now here also I am writing add, then parameter list I am writing int comma int. Okay, now in the body I will write int sum equal to, I will write, you can write a plus b plus c. Okay, so this is how you can do. So now semicolon, then you can print the sum. So printf %d comma sum. Okay, so this a b c will get here, you can write int a comma int b comma int c. So a value will get here, b value will get here, c value will get here when you call the function. Okay, in definition this part when will execute, when you call this add function from the outside this function, then only it will execute. Okay, now next one is function calling. So function can be called from anywhere in the program. Okay, but we need to ensure that parameter list must same as function declaration. Okay, so the syntax of function calling is simply you need to write function name, then parameters list. Okay, so the function name, example function name earlier we have taken add. Okay, so when you call this add, from here control will go to definition. Now after going to definition, it will perform the job, then it will display the value. Okay, so this is the most important aspect of the function. Unless until if we do not call the function, function will never execute. So now let's understand a function example for addition of three numbers. So by declaring, by definition, by calling. Okay, so first of all function declaration. So I am writing int. So first you write that header file has include stdio.h, then globally you declare the function int add. I am passing three parameters, int comma int comma int. So this is declaration function, so I written semicolon. Okay, after that I am writing int main. Okay, so these three values you passed in the function declaration you will get from the main. Okay, so in main function must have three values. So in main I am writing a equal to 10, b equal to 5, c equal to 15. Okay, so a is having three values, so it can give to the user defined function add. Okay, now the function calling will be done from main function. So the function name is add. So add I am writing. So here I am passing a comma b comma c. Okay, function calling is having again semicolon, so I am writing semicolon. Now I will write the definition of the function. So int add. Now here I am writing int a comma int b comma int c. Okay, this is definition, so I am not writing any semicolon at the end of the parenthesis. Now after that I will write int sum equal to a plus b plus c. Then printf the sum is %d comma sum. Okay, now how it works? Now the control execution will start from main function. So you got a value, b value, c value. Now after that this is function calling. Now when function calls, what will happen? From this line control will go to definition of the function. Okay. Now in the definition what is going on? So function calling a, b, c. So a value 10 it will get, b value 5 it will get, c value 15. So same will be passed to int a, b value will pass it to int b, c value will be passed to int c. Now here you are performing sum equal to a plus b plus c, so it will perform 10 plus 5 plus 15. Okay. So overall the sum value is 30, so it will display 30. The sum is 30. So output is the sum is 30. Okay. So this is how it will execute. Okay. Now after printing this, control will again go back to the function after executing this printf statement. After printing this, now from here again control will go back to from where you called. It will check the operation is done by this function or not. So already this function is done its job, so control will fall down. So nothing is there, so it will terminate. So curly brace is there, so when it encounter with curly brace, it will terminate. So the main function execution is also over, so it will terminate. Now this is another example to understand function. This is a program for displaying your name by using function. So this is the function declaration, void display. So void means no return type of function. Okay, void means no return type, display is the function name. Then in main function you are calling the display function. Okay, so when execution will start from main function, it will start like this. So when it reaches to the display, from this line control will goes to display function definition. In this function name is printing, so first it will print Chiru. So in output Chiru is printed. After printing, when it encountered the curly brace after printf, from here, because this function done its job already printed, so from here again control will go back to display function. Display function ensure that already this display function done its job, so the control will fall down then to return 0. When it falls down to return 0, it means main function execution is over, so it will terminate. So in this lecture I have discussed what is function, and then I have discussed parameter and argument. I have discussed function declaration, function definition, function calling. So declaration is not compulsory, but definition calling is compulsory. When we call the function, then only definition will execute and it will display the results. So these are the aspects I have discussed in this lecture. This is the summary. Thank you.